Hey, what's up guys? Alex here, back again for another video. And today, as you can see, I'm joined by my good friend Brandon. He's come down to visit me again. You guys might remember Brandon. He's featured on this channel before, I think back in May when he came down.
Yeah, something like that.
We did a video together back then. And yeah, he's come down to visit me again, just chilling. And we thought we'd make a video to kind of mark the end of the year. And yeah, it's cool to make videos together, so I thought we'd just make one. And today we're going to do our top 10 albums of 2014 lists. Obviously coming towards the end of 2014 now, and so it'd be a cool idea to kind of do our lists at the same time. But if you want to go and check Brandon's channel out, which would really, I think he'd really appreciate, then click on his face.
My face.
I'll put a link on his face. So you can go and check out his channel, go and subscribe, and check out his videos. He's got lots of vinyl updates and other videos on there. But yeah, we're going to do our top 10 lists. It's been a pretty good year for music. I think maybe not quite as good as last year.
I don't know. I'd argue that.
I don't know.
I think it's been a great year.
It's been different, I guess, this year. But yeah, we've got our top 10 lists, and we're just going to run down. We're going to go back and forth from 10 to number 1, and just talk briefly about why we love these albums, because there's been a lot of great stuff that's come out this year. So yeah, do you want to start by giving your number 10?
My number 10 is Cloud Nothing's Here and Nowhere Else. I didn't expect to love this album as much as I did. I wasn't a big fan. I wasn't huge on their first album, but this one to me was a lot heavier, a lot more melodic in terms of the guitar work and stuff like that on this. I just found it super catchy. It's an amazing drumming album as well. The overall instrumentation was faster. It was louder. It was really in your face. Some great indie rock and post-hardcore elements. It just made for such a consistent, great release. There's nothing special on it. There's nothing mind-blowing, but it's consistently great all the way through. Only like a 30-something minute album. And yeah, I loved it. That's my number 10.
Awesome. Okay, well, my number 10 is Bad Bad Not Good with their album 3. Came out probably the first part of the year. Really enjoyed this. Some kind of really solid jazz fusion. I've loved these guys for a couple of years now. They were kind of doing like cover songs. They were covering like hip hop classic songs and like putting their own twist on it. But this year they've come out with I think wholly original album.
Yeah.
I think all the songs were original. And yeah, just a really solid listen. This is really kind of chilled. So you can put this on and just kind of like relax to it. But also it's got some really kind of moody, dark instrumentation on it. And I just really loved it from start to finish. I think it was a really solid album. So yeah, that's my number 10.
Yeah, my number 9 is Perfume Genius with Too Bright, an album that has kind of slipped down my list a little bit. When I first heard it, it was a lot higher, but it slipped down a little bit. I really like what Perfume Genius did with this album, though. Like, he felt he took a lot of risk compared to his last album, which was Put Your Back Into It, which was also in my top 10. Which, yeah, great album, really stripped back. But this album, he took a lot of risks with the production, and the instrumentation is a lot more varied, a lot more experimental, almost going in like an art pop route on this album, and I really liked it. The songwriting and vocals was always going to be great, and yeah, again, extremely consistent moments. And Queen is one of my favourite songs of the year, so big props to him on that. But again, another great consistent release from Perfume Genius, and I can't wait to see what direction he's going in next, to be honest, on his next album. So go check it out if you haven't.
Cool. So moving on to my number 9, I've got Open Mike Eagle with Dark Comedy, the first hip hop album of the list. And yeah, Open Mike Eagle is someone that I'm pretty new to. This is the first album I listened to by him, and just blew me away. Some really kind of conscious hip hop songs, some really lavish, extravagant instrumentation and production on here. And I think Open Mike Eagle just really nailed it. You know, he's come through with a really solid release this year. And yeah, he's kind of a very unusual rapper. He's kind of in the same lane as artists like Milo and Bus Driver. I know he's part of Hellfire Club.
Yeah.
And yeah, just really impressed by him. He really came through with a thoroughly entertaining album with dark comedy. So yeah, he's got my number 9 spot.
Yeah.
Great stuff.
Great album. On my number 8, we've got Ricky Eat Acid with 3 Love Songs. A really great, surprising ambient release. I'd never heard of Ricky Eat Acid before this album, and he just came through and he delivered exactly what I want and what I love about ambient music, which is just pure emotion through these songs. And you can tell, even by the song titles, this was going to be an emotional release for him, and the way he can just deliver that through his music, and how he delivered it so well for me through the different instrumentation, the different sampling choices, the different piano stuff he would use on the album. It's just, again, extremely solid throughout. Nothing super groundbreaking again, but super consistent and just a really great emotional ambient release. I really got a lot out of this album, so yeah, go check it out. It's pretty unknown. I haven't seen a lot of people talking about this, so Ricky Eat Acid, 3 Love Songs, go check it out.
Cool. So my number 8 is a kind of singer-songwriter favourite this year. Going to be a lot higher on a lot of people's lists. I know this was a kind of fan favourite. Got Sunkill Moon with his album Benji, which really solid album. Some great singer-songwriter songs on here, acoustic songs. Was there any like electric stuff on here? Or was
No,
it
I think so.
purely acoustic?
No.
And yeah, this came out way earlier in the year, so I haven't listened to it in a while, but the only complaint I would have about this is it didn't have the replay value that I was kind of looking for. I haven't listened to this in a few months, but I remember when it came out, played it probably 10 times and loved it every single time. Then it lost a bit of its magic, but yeah, some great, really heartfelt, emotive songs on here. I think Sunkill Moon is in a great place right now with this sound, and I think he can go a lot further with it. I think he can kind of flesh out the production and really make some great albums in the future. But this was an amazing album, Benji. Yeah, props to Sunkill Moon. He's I think come through with a great album. Yeah. So that's my number 8.
Yeah, my number 7 going on is La Dispute with Rooms of the House. Man, La Dispute delivered again, like their 3rd album now, and they've delivered on every single album so far. Again, moving into a different direction on some of the songs, and you've got some really minimalistic spoken word pieces on this, which I love because it goes so well with Jordan's vocals and his lyrics. His songwriting, his storytelling is phenomenal, especially for the genre. Like, you don't see a lot of that in post-hardcore music these days. And the tracks that are strictly La Dispute, you know, the post-hardcore sound that they go for, are still great. I just love the kind of different risk and the concept of the album. Again, the storytelling, phenomenal, and please go check it out. I think they're one of the best bands making music right now, period. They're just a brilliant band with brilliant messages and lyrics, and really need to check them out. They're a great, great band with great album.
Awesome. Okay, my number, is this number 7?
Yeah.
Yeah, my number 7 is by an artist. It was kind of split opinion this year. There were some people that loved this album, other people didn't like it so much, him included. Uncommon NASA with his album New York Telephone. And this was really interesting to me. It was a kind of concept album based around telephone conversations about New York. And yeah, Uncommon NASA is a really interesting MC to me. I think he's an amazing lyricist. Some of the lyrics on this album were really kind of paranoia filled, very kind of schizophrenic, and they really made you kind of unsettled. They're really unsettling. I think what kind of splits opinion is his delivery, and I know Brandon isn't a big fan of his kind of delivery and his on some of the songs, but I really enjoy it. I think it's quite unorthodox, and you know, it's kept me engaged from start to finish, and I really love this album. I think you guys should go and check it out if you haven't already. New York Telephone, amazing album, so that got my number 7 spot.
Yeah, my number 6 has to go to an album which was a lot higher a lot of the times on my list this year, but it is Freddie Gibbs and Madlib with Pinata, or Cocaine Pinata, whatever you want to say. Yeah, great album, man. Like, this album surprised me a lot. I've never been a huge fan of Freddie Gibbs as an MC. I've always thought he was decent, but I never thought he was capable of putting a full project together. He had his moments in the past, but this is where he really shined, especially with the Madlib production. My only complaint is the content does get a bit repetitive after repeated listens. It gets a bit like stale, but it's still enjoyable. Like, I still put it on. I still think it's great. I just don't love it as much as I first listened to it. Yeah. And it's kind of gone off a little bit, but it's still a great hip-hop release, and one that definitely needs to be checked out. If you like gangster hip-hop with some kind of experimental production, like Madlib's on production, you know it's going to be great, but it's not your typical gangster album, that's what I'd say. But great features on here as well, some really great features, a lot of features that do their thing on here, and it's a very great album, so go check it out.
Cool. Okay, my number 6, moving swiftly on, is by a hip-hop collective which I don't think can do much wrong at the moment. I love these guys. I think they're putting out some amazing stuff. Clipping with their self-titled album from this year. Yeah, blew me away this. I thought the production was on point the whole way through. Definitely on a par with Mid-City, if not slightly better. And the lyrics, I think David Diggs comes through with some great lyrics on most of the tracks. A couple of weak links on there, which meant that it wasn't higher on the list. But yeah, these guys, I don't think they can do much wrong right now. They're kind of on the noise hop bandwagon, and they're putting out some great albums. It's their second great album in a row. And yeah, just don't think they can do any wrong right now. So clipping with my number 6 spot.
Yeah. Taking my number 5 spot is my only metal release getting into my top 10, and that is Behemoth with The Satanist. Just a really fucking pummeling release right here. Like, this is something that's really heavy, really dark. As you can tell by the album title, it's called The Satanist, so you know it's not exactly going to be an easy listening type album. Behemoth are a Polish death metal band that have been going for quite a long time now, but this is my first introduction to them. And man, I definitely need to go back and check out their other stuff. Even though people are saying this is their best release, I still need to check it out, because this album is truly amazing to me. Just the vocals, the guitar work, the drum work is so dark, it's so moody, it's so heavy. It's exactly what I want for a metal album. And yeah, some of the lyrics, you know, is not exactly pleasant to listen to, but that's the band and that's what they go for, and I respect that as artists. That's what they're going for, and it doesn't bother me like it does with other people. Just a truly amazing metal release. It's got everything I need from it. So Behemoth the Satanist is my number 5.
Cool. My number 5 is an album which literally came out about a week ago. Brandon was very excited about this, and I'd never listened to him before, but I'm so glad that I gave him a chance. And at number 5 I've got D'Angelo with Black Messiah. Amazing album. This definitely took some time to kind of hit home with me. I had to listen to this maybe 2 or 3 times before I could fully appreciate it, because these songs very, very dense. They're very hard to digest at first. You know, some really interesting, unorthodox production. D'Angelo's voice is quite hard to listen to sometimes. He kind of mumbles, as we were talking about earlier. But man, once you kind of settle down with this album and start to really listen to it properly, just blows you away. And I think this really did that for me this year. So yeah, props to D'Angelo. First album in 14 years, and he's come through with definitely one of the best of the year, and in a lot of people's eyes. So yeah, well done D'Angelo. Amazing album with Black Messiah.
Yeah. My number 4 is Open Mike Eagle with Dark Comedy. I wouldn't spend too much time talking about this because Alex already spoken and we kind of share the same view on it. Open Mike Eagle is an extremely unique MC. I don't think there's anybody quite like him in the rap game right now. He's part of the Hellfire Club, but I think he's way different to anybody else in the group. They all kind of got their differences, but he really stands out for me for his singing, rapping, delivery, which he brings, which I think is brilliant. The production on some of the production is really experimental and really different to what you'd regularly hear in hip-hop. And just him as an MC, like, he's talked about real stuff that really means stuff to him, and you can tell he's got great messages in his music. He doesn't rap about nothing for the sake of it. Like, you can tell he really means what he says in his lyrics, and he's just a really unique, interesting MC. I find him so interesting to listen to because of his delivery and because of his lyrics, and they just match together so well with the production on here. I think this is a brilliant hip-hop album, which has been quite overlooked this year, personally. So that's my number 4.
Cool. Yeah, my number 4 is by a band which have blown me away the last few years. Fell in love with these guys when they released The Seer back in 2012, and this year they came out with an album that's quite similar in terms of tone, To Be Kind. Just an absolute masterpiece in my opinion. Swans, yeah, coming through with a similar kind of vibe to The Seer, some really fleshed out, long, extensive songs that kind of build to crescendo. You've got some like 30-minute tracks on here that you really have to kind of concentrate and sit down with and give your time to. But I think when you do that, you know, it really comes through as something very, very profound. You know, Michael Gira is never one to kind of beat around the bush. He's always straight to the point, and he's always gonna, you know, he's always gonna tell you exactly what he feels. He's gonna give you a piece of his mind on every album, and I think it's no exception on To Be Kind. He's really nailed it again, and some of the tracks on here are just so infectious, so hard-hitting, and yeah, I mean, Swans, again, completely flawless with To Be Kind, so that's my number 4.
My number 3 is Sun Kill Moon with Benji. I like Alex, I don't get a lot of replay value out of this album, but I don't judge an album quality by replay value. I judge an album quality by what I get out of it every single time I listen to it, and what I get out of this every single time I listen to it is an amazing singer-songwriter folk release. I think it's truly brilliant, and his songwriting and his storytelling is so interesting. Like, he doesn't even sing on a lot of these tracks. It's kind of like, again, he's got that like mumbling, but he just feels like he's so personal and he's really talking to you as a listener. Like, he's really letting you in to what he wants to say. Like, he's not hiding anything. He's really just expressing himself. And yeah, the production is quite minimalistic, but I love it because it focuses more than on the singer-songwriter aspect of this album, with the amazing lyrics and the amazing storytelling, like I said. So extremely consistent all the way throughout, with some standout tracks, which are some of my favourite of the year. So amazing album from Sun Kil Moon, and I can't wait to see what he does next, really.
Yeah, he nailed it this year. My number 3 is, again, an album that Brandon's already mentioned, so I won't spend too long, but Perfume Genius with Too Bright. Love this guy for a couple of years since his last album, and again, came through this year with Too Bright, a masterful collection of kind of pop songs. What genre would you call it? Kind of ambient?
No, I call it like art pop, and it's art pop.
Art pop. Just a great collection of tracks. Again, Queen, like Brandon said, is one of my favourite songs of the year. Absolute masterpiece of a song. And yeah, just love this guy's voice, love the production that he uses, and these songs are just so blissful, so like beautiful to listen to. And it's one of those albums that I just didn't get bored of. I'm still playing this from time to time, really enjoying it, and this guy's got a real kind of aesthetic about him. He's got something very unique about him, which I think a lot of people are lacking nowadays in the music industry. And yeah, I mean, absolutely incredible release. Hardly any weak tracks on here, and I think he's stepped it up from his last album, which is pretty impressive. So yeah. Perfume Genius in the number 3 spot.
Yeah, my number 2 is an album which will come up in very few lists this year, which I think is a travesty. My number 2 is Pheromone with PTSD, Post-Traumatic Stress Disorder. I think this is a truly phenomenal hip-hop release. I think this is one of the best releases of the decade so far, let alone this year. I think it's a truly brilliant album. Like, everything that I want from a hip-hop album is right here. You've got concept, you've got subject matter, you've got lyrics, you've got production, like, you've got everything on this album is truly phenomenal. Like, Pheromone, he's been rapping for so long, but he's still got it. Like, some of the really personal moments on this track, this album, is what surprised me the most. He's not just rapping about nothing. Like, the tracks he's talking about depression, and he's talking about things that mean a lot to him, and you can really get a sense that on this album. These just feel like fleshed out songs. They don't feel like nothing songs with just dudes rapping. Like, these feel like real songs put together, crafted so well, and the concept stays really consistent throughout, and it's got a great theme, which obviously means a lot to Pheromone. And I just got so much out of this album, and it's incredible every single time I listen to it. So that's my number 2. Please go check it out if you're into hip-hop. It's an amazing release in my opinion.
Cool. Yeah, my number 2 is another hip-hop album, which is a pretty common theme on my list this year. I think I have 5 altogether. And yeah, I've got an album which Brandon's talked about again. This is Freddie Gibbs and Madlib with Pinata. Amazing production. I don't think you're ever going to get a Madlib project with bad production. And I was surprised that Freddie Gibbs could come through and rap over this production in such a proficient way. I think he's really done a great job with these tracks. And he's spitting really hard. He's got some great lyrics in there. His delivery isn't quite my cup of tea sometimes. On some of the tracks, it kind of gets on my nerves a bit. And as Brandon said, I don't think it has quite enough replay value to be the number 1 spot. But some of these tracks are mind-blowing, and definitely some of my favourite hip-hop songs of the year. Songs like Thuggin', Real, Shame. Amazing hip-hop songs backed up with, you know, some incredible production value. So, yeah, I mean, this was a surprise to me. I didn't expect to enjoy this as much as I did. But, yeah, Freddie Gibbs and Madlib, amazing combination, and definitely deserve, I think, my number 2 spot. So, yeah, that's my number 2.
Yeah, so my number 1 of the year is an album that I already mentioned. Like I said, it only came out last Monday, but this album is truly phenomenal in my eyes. It's D'Angelo with Black Messiah. I mean, I was so hyped for this album anyway. I've always been a huge fan of D'Angelo. Ever since I was like a kid, I kind of grew up with his music and stuff. So I've always been a huge fan. And I've been patiently waiting, kept me waiting 14 years, D'Angelo, for this album. But I'm so happy that he finally delivered, and it is a truly brilliant album. A lot darker than his previous work, a lot more subject matter, a lot more political kind of lyrics on this. which I welcome it. I mean, it just adds to his brilliant songwriting. Like, his songwriting's always been great, but he's even stepped up again on this. And these songs are so dense, and they feel so, like, these songs weren't made quick. Like, you can tell he really took his time with these songs. The instrumentation, there's so much going on. It's kind of hard to, like, really get on first few listens. Like, you gotta listen to it. I've listened to this 8, 9 times now, and it's like,
it reveals itself more as you listen to it.
Yeah, like, and the more you listen, I think the more you get out of it, and you're either going to go one way or the other. I've seen a few people say that it's really not their cup of tea the more they listen to it, but for me, it just keeps getting better and better, because you find that piece of instrumentation you might not have heard, you find that lyric you might not have quite caught, and his delivery, his vocals are always on point, and I just love how different this album is to his previous stuff. You got the neo-soul sound, and I really think this is what mainstream music needs at the moment, is an album like this. I've seen so many people, celebrities, pop stars, tweeting about this album, saying how amazing it is. Hopefully it's going to inspire a lot of people now to make music like this, because I really think it's what's needed. And this could really, in my opinion anyway, this could really shake up the mainstream a little bit, because I've already seen people like Justin Timberlake, like one of the biggest pop stars on the planet, saying that this album's amazing and we need more music like this. So it'd be amazing if it had that effect on people. But from a personal standpoint, phenomenal album, like truly, truly brilliant. One of the best of the decade so far. D'Angelo totally delivered. I'm so happy with this release. Brilliant, brilliant stuff.
So that's Brandon's list wrapped up. Only thing to do now is my number 1 album of 2014. No surprises, this was kind of a no-brainer for me to put this as my number 1. Absolutely flawless album in my opinion. Run the Jewels with Run the Jewels 2, of course the duo of Killer Mike and LP. These guys have been making music together since 2012. LP produced Killer Mike's 2012 album Rap Music, which blew me away, and then they released the first Run the Jewels last year, which I thought was a bit of a backward step. I know Brandon doesn't really agree, but I didn't think that was quite as good as Rap Music, and I was hoping for a little bit more on Run the Jewels 2, and boy did these guys deliver. The production on here, much more risky, I think, slightly more varied. LP's production, I think he's got a great variety of some kind of denser production, some more poppy production, some dark production. He's got a great variety of production on here. And I think as rappers, LP and Killer Mike really complement each other, because they're such different rappers, they're such different MCs in terms of how they rap. You know, you've got Killer Mike, who's in your face, he's like pummeling, he's abrasive, and he's really hard hitting. And then you've got LP, kind of in the background, but not really. He's still a very, very good rapper. Slightly more ambiguous and cryptic in his lyrics and how he kind of spits and delivers his lines. But as a whole, you know, these guys just really kind of trade off each other, and this album is just mind-blowing. You know, like every song on here I can listen to time and time again, and every time I do listen to these tracks, they just, they probably even get better. I mean, they just never get boring, and I love this album, completely love it. My favourite album of the year by a mile, and I really hope these guys carry on making music together. I think, you know, they've got more to offer. Which is incredible now, because they've been making consistent music together for over 2-3 years, and they're just incredibly talented guys, and you know, I just this blew me away, so I think it definitely deserved my number 1 spot. Run the Jewels, amazing. So yeah, that's our top 10 lists. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I'd love to see some more lists. I'm sure some more will be posted in the VC over the coming days.
Just comment your list. If you want to make a video, just leave it in the comments. Right?
Yeah, I'd love to see other people's choices. It's always fascinating to see those. So yeah, that's our list. Also, we're going to leave some honourable mentions, some albums that didn't quite make it to our list in the description, so check those out. And also probably going to make a video on Brandon's channel in the next day or so. So yeah, go over to his channel, subscribe, and stay tuned for a video on his channel. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys, and hope you enjoyed these our 2 lists, and I'll see you in the next video. See you later, guys.